Hello and welcome to Daily Current Affairs by Neo IAS. Today is 4th August 2019 and the topics for discussion are skill acquisition and knowledge awareness for livelihoods promotion, that is Sankalp program, Pashmina products, e-cigarettes, RCEP, map aided program and previous year question revision series. Now coming to our first topic, which is the Sankalp program. Now basically this is in news because the review meeting of the World Bank loan assisted Sankalp program had been held. So this is why this is in news. Now we'll talk about the program. Sankalp is an outcome oriented centrally sponsored program of the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Now it has special focus on decentralized planning and quality improvement. Okay, so basically it focuses on the overall skilling and ecosystem covering both central and state agencies. Now Sankalp aims to implement the mandate of the National Skill Development Mission, and under Sankalp 4 key areas has been identified. Okay, now that is institutional strengthening both under national and the state level, state and district level, actually under all the 3 levels, national, state and district. Then there is quality assurance of skill development programs. Third is inclusion of marginalized population in skill development, and finally expanding skill through public-private partnership. Now the main objectives of the project are creating convergence among all skill training activities both at the state and Government of India funded level. Okay. Now then there is the improving quality of skill development programs through enablers such as building a pool of quality trainers and assessors, developing model curriculum and content, and standardizing assessment and certification. The next objective is establishing robust monitoring and evaluation system for skill training programs. The other one is providing access to skill training opportunities to the disadvantaged sections of the country, and finally creating industry-led and demand-driven skill training capacity. So this is very important because as of now there is an issue in the country wherein the people or the youth coming out of it are not skilled enough for the industry that is demanding. The demand of the industry are not met by the educated youth that is passing out of the universities. So skill in this mission is going to focus on skilling of these people finally, so that the demand driven industry can take in skilled youth. So that is the main idea. Now coming to the next topic, which is Pashmina products. So as you know, Pashmina is coming from the goat which is in Kashmir, which is a Pashmina goat. Now this is in news because the Pashmina products, that is the Pashmina shawls, etc., scarves, etc., which is very famous, has finally received a BIS certification. Now we'll talk about the goat actually first. The Pashmina goat or the Changthangi goat is a special breed of goat indigenous to the high altitude regions of Ladakh in Jammu and Kashmir. Now they are raised basically for their ultra fine Kashmir wool. Usually goats are raised for milk and meat, but here it is pure economic purposes, that is the wool that they produce. Okay. Now this wool that the goat is giving, once they are woven, then that is called Pashmina. The goat is Pashmina, but the wool obtained by it after woven only, it is called Pashmina products. Now the textiles and the wool that we are getting are hand spun and were first woven in Kashmir. Now the Changthangi goat grows a thick, warm undercoat, which is a source for all the Pashmina wool. Now it is the finest cashmere, measuring up to 12 to 15 microns in fiber thickness, which means it's a very thin fiber. So even though it is very thin, the heat that it gives the body is very high. So it's of a high quality standards. Now these goats are generally domesticated and reared by nomadic communities called the Changpa, okay, in the Changthang region of the Greater Ladakh. So in the Changpang community, which is existing in the Changthang region in Greater Ladakh, are the people who are domesticating these goats. Now the Changthangi goats have revitalized the Changthang regions, including the regions of Leh and Ladakh. Usually you know that the regions in northern Kashmir, which is the Leh Ladakh region, don't have any economic prospectus. It's very difficult out there. But because of these goats, and because the BIS hallmark has also been given to these products of these goats, the economy over there is started to grow again. So that is the main idea. Now, since BIS has given a certification to the goats, the wool from the goats, we'll talk about BIS. Now, BIS stands for Bureau of Indian Standards. Okay. Now, it is a national standard body of India established under BIS Act of 2016. Now, the Act has replaced, the new 2016 Act has replaced the Bureau of Indian Standards Act of 1986, which means earlier in 1986 there was an act which created this body, but right now in 2016 the BIS Act had been amended and a new act has come in place, which is the Bureau of Indian Standards Act of 2016. Now, this has been developed for the harmonious development of the activities of standardization, marking and quality certification of goods and any other related regions around this area. Now, the BIS has been providing traceability and tangibility benefits to the national economy in a number of ways. Okay, now that will be, for example, providing safe and reliable quality goods, minimizing the health hazards to the consumers, promoting export and import substitute, control over proliferation of varieties, etc. Now, that is done through standardization, certification and testing. By these three methods, all the above benefits are being provided. Now, BIS works under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Now, coming to the next topic, which is e-cigarettes. Now, this is a news because the Bombay High Court stayed the state government's action against e-cigarette and said that it will determine if e-cigarettes fall under the definition of drugs. This is the reason why it's in news. Now, we'll talk about e-cigarettes. Now, e-cigarettes are also called ENDS. ENDS because if you open up ENDS properly, if you open the acronym, we'll get electronic nicotine delivery system. So, electronic nicotine delivery system or ENDS, also called as e-cigarettes. Now, they include basically a battery, an atomizer, a cartridge. This cartridge will contain liquid nicotine, okay, and other substances also. Now, because of these other substances, youth and kids are getting attracted to it. Now, the liquid is heated, and because of that, the nicotine in the liquid is vaporized. Now, basically what happens here is that this nicotine content is sucked in by the person, and at high temperatures, e-cigarettes can produce carcinogens. For example, formaldehyde is there. So, such kind of carcinogen are also produced by e-cigarettes, which can cause cancer in the later stage of life. So, that is why it's in bit of an issue right now. So, basically, Punjab was the first Indian state to declare this e-cigarettes as unapproved under Drugs and Cosmetic Act of 2013. Presently, most states including Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, etc. have formally declared e-cigarettes as unapproved products through the Drugs and Cosmetic Acts and is applicable pan-India, and Haryana has booked violators even without a formal declaration. So that is Haryana, even without declaring that this is banned, they have arrested people who are using this e-cigarettes. Now, e-cigarettes are not currently approved by the Food and Drugs Administration as a quit smoking aid. Usually, why people go for e-cigarettes is that hardcore smokers, for example, chain smokers, they try a way out through other methods, and there are various other methods. One example of that is something called a nicotine patch or a nicotine gum. For them, there are such methods are there, but these chain smokers, they go for e-cigarettes because they say normal smokers, in the cigarette there is something called tobacco and that produces tar and all. So that kind of substance which actually causes harm to the lungs. But in case of e-cigarettes, tar substance is not there. So that is why they think e-cigarettes will be an easier way out of this smoking. But that is not true. In fact, it has been found that people who go for e-cigarettes actually tend to become hardcore smokers later on. So e-cigarette is not a way out. So that is the main idea over here. Now we'll talk about the harmful effects. Now, the use of e-cigarettes has documented adverse effects on humans, which include DNA damage, carcinogenesis, which is basically forming cancer, cellular, molecular and immunological toxicity, which means toxins has entered even the cells of the body and it will affect the immunity of the body. To that level, e-cigarettes are detrimental to the human body. It also causes respiratory, cardiovascular and neurological disorders and has adverse impact on the fetal development of any baby during pregnancy. So clearly this has certain really bad repercussions on the human body. Now e-cigarettes use adversely, the use of e-cigarettes will adversely affect the cardiovascular system, which means the heart, for example, and also the respiratory system, which is the lung areas. So all these regions are severely affected because of the carcinogens and other substances present in the cartridge liquid of the e-cigarette. So therefore e-cigarette should not be used because of the various harmful effects it can give to the body. Now coming to the next topic is RCEP. Now RCEP stands for Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Now basically this is a mega regional free trade agreement being negotiated among the 16 countries. Now the 16 countries are the 10 ASEAN countries and 6 other countries. Now basically it aims to cover goods, services, investment, economic and technical cooperation, competition and intellectual property rights. Now the 10 ASEAN countries, you all will be knowing what I'll say it, is Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, Singapore, Thailand, Philippines, Laos and Vietnam. Okay. And the other 6 countries are in and around that region, which are India, China, Japan, South Korea, Australia and New Zealand. So basically these 16 countries are also called ASEAN plus 6. So 10 plus 6 will form ASEAN plus 6, the 16 countries. Here in the image you can see all the countries which are a part of the RCEP program, that is a Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Now India registered a trade deficit in 2018-19 with 11 RCEP member countries of the 16 nations that have been negotiating a mega trade pact since 2012 November. Now the RCEP trade agreement would cover 47.4% of the global population, 32.2% of global economy and 29.1% of global trade and 32.5% of global investment flows in 2018. So you can understand this is not a small partnership, it's a very big partnership. It will come very close or just below it will be below the Trans-Pacific Partnership or any other major partnership. So this is not something that one can take lightly if this thing comes into full force. Now we'll come to the map aided program. Today we'll be continuing with the mountain passes of Himachal Pradesh. So now the rest of the mountain passes I'll tell you are Shingola Pass, Shipkila Pass, Depsa Pass, Pin Parbati Pass, Talkling Pass, Parang Pass and Jalori Pass. So these are the final list of passes in Himachal Pradesh. Now tomorrow we'll go into some other state. Now we'll talk about all the passes that I have mentioned right now. So the first pass, which is the Shingola Pass. Now it's a mountain pass in India on the border between Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh at a height of 5,091 meters. Okay, that is all there about Shingola Pass. Then comes to Shipkila Pass, which is an important pass. Now it's a mountain pass and a border post with a dozen buildings of significant size on the India-China border. So this is a important pass because it's the bordering pass between India and China. It will give passage to China from India. Now it is located in the Kinnaur district of the state of Himachal Pradesh and it connects Tibet region of China. Okay, now the pass is one of the India's border posts for trade with Tibet and the pass is close to the town of Kahab. So that is all about Shipkila Pass. Then comes Dipsa Pass, is 5,360 meters high and it is located in the Himalayas between Kulu and Spiti districts of Himachal Pradesh. Then comes Pin Parbati Pass. It connects the Parvati Valley of Kulu with the Pin Valley of Lahul and Spiti district of Himachal Pradesh and it is at an elevation of 5,319 meters. Then comes the Takling Pass, which is also called the Parana Pass. Okay, is a famous trade route of pass connecting Spiti Valley and with Ladakh at an altitude of 5,575 meters. So here it is Spiti Valley and Ladakh, that is between Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. Then comes the Parang Pass. It's a parallel pass to the Spiti Valley with Himachal Pradesh and also along with the Talkling Pass. Then finally comes the Jalori Pass. Now this is a high mountain pass connecting the Banjar with Anni areas of Kulu district in Himachal Pradesh, and it's at an altitude of 3120 meters. Now coming to the previous year question revision series. Now today's question, I'll read it out. Now the climate is extreme, rainfall is scanty, and the people used to be nomadic herders. The above statements best describe which of the following regions? A. African savanna, B. Central Asian steppe, C. North American prairie, and finally D. The Siberian tundra. So I want you guys to find out the answer for this. Think first. Don't directly go into the internet and find out the answer, but I want you to think first, logically assess. You think of the globe, think of the heat areas in the globe, and finally come to a conclusion as to what region can the answer be for this. Okay, and tomorrow we'll discuss the answer for this question. Now, here we'll discuss the question which I had given yesterday. I'll read out the question. Consider the following statements. 1. Natural gas occurs in the Gondwana beds. Then 2. Mica occurs abundance in Koderma. 3. Dharwar are famous for petroleum. Now we have to find out which is the correct statement out of this. Let's come to the first statement here. Natural gas occurs in Gondwana beds. Now this is a wrong statement. Gondwana beds are not famous for natural gas, but it is famous for coal. This is the reason why. Basically, during when the Indian subcontinent plate was moving towards the Eurasian plate, and when it collided, there was a fault in the Gondwana regions. At that point of time, the large amount of vegetation that was there in that region subsumed and went under the earth and got covered again. And because of that, that happened to be the Gondwana region, and because of that, after many years, the vegetation turned out to be coal. So the basic difference between coal and petroleum and natural gas is that coal is formed from vegetation, while petroleum and natural gas are found, obtained from animals, basically marine animals or basically fishes, for example. Such organisms is what you obtain petroleum and natural gas from. But here the Gondwana beds were initially, before this subduction happened, it was a very vegetatively high region. So majority of the trees and the plants, the thick bark of the trees, they were subsumed, and later on it formed into coal. Now coming to the second option, which is mica occurs in abundance in Koderma, is a true statement. So option 2 is correct. So that you have in your mind. So now you are left with options B and C. So we'll go to the third statement, which is Dharwar are famous for petroleum. Now this is a wrong statement. Dharwar is located in Karnataka, and Karnataka is not, very famous for petroleum. In fact, there are other mines, metallic mines and non-metallic mines, which are famous in Karnataka. But Dharwar, is not famous for petroleum. So here the only option which is correct is 2, and therefore the correct option for this question is B. Now I hope you enjoyed this session. If you have any doubts or queries, you can write down in the comment section below. I also want you to write down the answer for the question that I had asked you. So that's all for today. Thank you.